Hi, everybody. Whoop. Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be back this week for a new episode in this web series. It's been quite an adventure since opening this web series back in late January. It's been quite a learning process, also an adventure. It's been so many wonderful things that have come out of this web series, and I'm very grateful for that. And if I sound a little more mellow tonight, it's, the vertigo thing going on this week a little bit. So, just always welcome you to the series, to the episodes. Enjoy everything that I bring to you this evening. Tonight's discussion is basically a let off from last week's episode, which was inspiring everybody and talking a little more about the books behind the series. When I initially first started writing this book, well, the very first book actually, 16 years ago, 16, 17 years ago, I never thought it would end up as a book, let alone a book of poetry, let alone able to share these with you and with the world and what's going on right now in the world. It's so many things, it's so many feelings and emotions that have gone into the making of any of these books. And I'm currently working on my first novel and a follow-up in this poetry series, actually. So I'm tackling a lot of things these days and trying not to forget the meaning, the real meaning behind the series and behind the books and behind who I am as a person, as an individual. And there's just so many things that happen in a person's life, and when you feel that purpose come to you, it's time to really put yourself out there and really share yourself with the world. And like I said in previous videos, I never thought in a million years I wanted to ever do this. And when I took that leap of faith to do it, I credit my best friends for that. And I credit very close friends because they have really stood by me. And it's been very eye-opening for me as well as it has been for you. And I've my friend Dawn, who I spent some time with here a week ago, it's just been an incredible journey, and that journey is just coming together with so many people and really having that connection with you. And it really means something to me. And I want to, tear up just thinking about it, because it just, there's so many feelings and emotions that happen, and I'm very grateful for it. So I have some tears going on there, but it really is just something that really means a lot to me, that I'm able to connect with you on this level and bring you these poetry entries from these books. And I am tonight as well as some scriptures that I found earlier this week that kind of put me back in the emotional set of why I'm here on this earth and the purpose that I'm here for. And that is to connect to everybody and bring people together and not fight or bicker or argue or get into a brawl. It's about unity and inspiring one another and living to tell a story. And that's what it came down to this week for me, was to live to tell a story and to bring it out in the open and share it with you, and have that mindset and also that heart and genuinity in what I'm talking about. Because if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I would be doing, to be honest with you. I'd probably still be working You know, my retail job, which I do still do. Don't get me wrong, I still work my retail job on the side, but this is my love. This is my passion. And this is my purpose in life is to write and to tell stories and to be that person that someone could go to and talk to when they need someone. And that just solidifies so much in so many words, but sometimes I can't find that word. And it's just a multitude of things. That is the series. That is basically that in a nutshell, is bringing people together, bringing people closer to God, hopefully bringing closer to God and to the Lord Christ. I credit Jesus and God for so many things in my life because he brought me to you, or he brought you to me in some way or another. It just fits, and I like that fitting, and it's comfortable. But sometimes we want to step out of our comfort zone and do something different. There's nothing wrong with that either. So that is this series. It's not only to inspire someone, but hopefully help someone get through a tough situation in their life, or they're not sure how to deal with a situation or something that they're going through. I'm hoping that that can touch you and may help you understand what you're going through, because we all go through something like that. You know, if we're going through a financial problem or emotional problems or physical problems, we can always go to someone and talk to that one particular person who's going to understand and who's going to listen. I was happy enough to meet somebody a week ago at a show, and she was so lit up with joy because this was her very first concert ever in her life. So she was so happy to meet Thompson Square and shake Shauna's hand. That was just amazing to me, and that was the most incredible feeling in the world to see that happen to somebody who had never been to a concert in their life. That was just the most beautiful moment. You just, there's so many things you could just talk about, and it just really grabs your heart and really makes you happy inside. That's how I feel when it comes to these episodes, is bringing some happiness to someone and giving them a reason to smile, because we all need to smile more and not walk around with our heads down, and just live life peacefully with content and hope and joy and peace. And I mean, I could throw every word out there and just really cover all the basis of what it is, from the very first book to where I am now with Beyond the Silence of Love and Faith, which will be covered before the series ends. And I'm going to be really bummed when the series ends. Well, not when this series ends, but when the season ends. I will come back next season. But I just have such an appreciation for people and respect for people, but in other words, treat people the way you want to be treated. There's just so many things I could literally get into speaking about, but there's only 30 minutes in a series and in an episode, and I don't want to go over the 30 minutes of my allotted time either. So, but I always give you folks a chance to ask questions and be there with me in these episodes, basically. So, some of the things that I want to talk about tonight was the books in the series, which is very abundantly clear that it is about you and it's not always about me. There's pieces of me in every book that I write, but you inspire the material that I write. You are the story, and I live to tell the story through your eyes and through someone's heart and soul, and that makes better connections for me when it comes to meeting someone. And I had someone check up on me recently too, which took me by surprise, and I had to thank him for it, and it was just very sweet and of him to actually think of me like that. And I thanked him and appreciated it from him, and it just it shows that people do care. They just have their own way of how they, bring that out in themselves. So Beyond the Silence of Love and Faith is actually the fourth book in this series, and it does tackle a lot more about Christianity and religion and testimonies and my own views on the world really that we're living in these days. But that will be tied in with the last two episodes. So I hope you come back next week, and on the final day, the first Thursday of June, will be the last episode for this season. And tonight's episode is just basically, like I said, like a continuation of last week, basically. So, and I say I've said all through this season. It's funny that I say that a lot, but I do work on it. I work on it. The journey ahead is just, it is pretty much what it is. It's the journey, and where we go, where are we going with our life, and how we're going to get there. And I found something in that book that I will be reading this evening, and some scriptures that will go along with it, because it kind of just ties into the week that I've had, bringing myself back to where I belong, aside from promoting country music and the artists who I believe in so strongly. So that is just who I am as a person. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting away from my religious views. I never do. I never stray from my religious views whatsoever. I have very strong religious views, but I will never bring them up in an episode, because the fact is I'm here to talk to you and get to know you, not about someone's religious views. You could be religious or not religious and watch one of these episodes and probably take something away from it. I don't want it to be that way. And I never want it to be like that, ever. So, where we're at these days in the world, destruction, confusion, where do we go next with our own lives? Like I said, we all have a purpose. We all have a God-given purpose to be here on this earth. And if you have not found it yet, I hope that you do find it, because there's a reason why you're here. And there's a reason why God wants you here. If he didn't want you here, he would have you in his possession right now. He wants you to learn. He wants you to grow. He wants you to succeed, but in his way, not in someone else's way. And I have seen that in some people, that they get so caught up with the fame and the fortune of success. To me, that's not defining success. The success is so different in my eyes. Success is accomplishing something that you work hard for. That's how I define success. Success, that is my success. That is how I feel that. There is no such thing as having, living a glamorous life. None of us have glamorous lives. Actors and actresses don't have glamorous lives. They don't. That's all show, and that's totally, relevant to this actually a bit, because a lot of people in show business will actually say the devil had my soul. And I've heard that from quite a few actors or actresses who have been in this business for over 2 decades. There's so many things that happens in a person's life that makes them change their life and actually look to the Lord for what they're looking for or seeking for. There's so many things that just happen in a person's life over 20 years or 30 years or 15 years. teenagers are not going to always understand this, but I pray that they do, because they're young and they're vulnerable or naive, and they just don't know where they're going with their own individuality. But if you really listen to them, some of them are very misunderstood. Some of them are wise and some of them aren't. And I'm not saying all of you are, because I see the immaturity, but I also see the growth in time from some of my younger friends who have reached their purpose in life, and I just praise them for that. And I could think of a few of them, and it's wonderful to see that transition in a young person's life, where they go from teenager to adult in a matter of maybe 3-4 years. It really is a wonderful feeling to see that transition, and they live to tell their story, which is wonderful to hear it, because I've heard some incredible stories from some bright young individuals, and I will always applaud them for that and what they believe in. I hear things from Demi Lovato, and that young girl has been through a lot herself, so I give her a lot of credit where that comes from in her own personal life and her story. So it just kind of all fits together tonight, and that is the reason why I decided to share my books and my stories with you, because you're the inspiration behind those stories. And I just continue to walk with you, talk with you, and just get to know you as human beings, not just as, a young person, but as people and individuals with bright futures ahead of yourself. Don't think you have to tie yourself down right away, so soon, so fast. And some of you I have seen do, and ended up in other situations that are just beyond me, actually. So show a little kindness, be respectful. If someone is going to push your buttons or put you down, walk away from it. It's kind of hard to do sometimes when you're in a situation, but you're better off to just walk away from it sometimes. And I've actually did walk away from a situation recently that got really hairy, Carrie, and but that's a totally different story, and I would tell anybody if they ask me. So but just show more kindness to someone, and be nice to someone. It's hard to be nice to people that don't like you, but in the end, they turn around actually being a friend in disguise. It can be really weird to hear that from someone, but it's true. If you're nice to someone who isn't nice to you, but you get to know that person over time, sometimes people end up becoming friends, and they become long life friends too. So be kind, show kindness, and just be who you are, authentically be the real you. And I've said this to quite a few people recently, because it's very true. Stop comparing yourself to someone else. Flat out, don't do it. Be who you are as a person, as a human being. So I found some scriptures this week that really spoke to me, and they both come from Ephesians 4, and they're in different sections of chapter 4. The first one is Ephesians 4 1 through 7, and I'm going to read that. That's going to be the last one I'm going to read, but the first one is Ephesians 4 17 through 21. And it just kind of really spoke to me in that way. So I'm really looking forward to what your thoughts are on this. This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk, not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lavishness, to work all uncleanliness with greediness. But ye have not so learned Christ. If so, be that ye have heard him, and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus. The truth really is in Jesus. No matter who you are, what you do, like I always say, you look at actors, you look at actresses, you look at musicians, you look at artists, painters, photographers. You see them as if they're living some glamorous life. And some of them live so lavishly, and they live with greediness. Do they have a heart in them? Yeah, they have a heart, but are they living through Christ? And like I said, some of them have told their stories, and we've heard those stories, and they have said that they were led to Jesus and had found their way because of him. That's very powerful when you find that in someone who is in show business, because it can take over and it can really ruin a person's life. But if you stay away from all the other things that are a part of that lifestyle, then life can be a little easier on you. And it's not for everybody. I hear people all the time say all they want to do is make money and be in the position of higher power. What is that to you? And it kind of sometimes boggles my mind to think that people are like that, and they just want the fame and the fortune, or the 15 minutes of fame, or whatever. That's nothing to me, really. I'm just a small town country girl just doing what she loves to do. And hopefully, by the grace of God, you know, find something magical or wonderful that comes out of it. And that, to me, is making the connections and the wonderful meetings that I have with people on a day-to-day basis. That's my success. That's how I see it, like I say. So that kind of really threw that in there with that scripture, because you hear the greediness and the uncleanliness of someone who's not living like Christ. But once you do live like Christ, all that is stripped away, and all you are is who you are, physically, emotionally, mentally, the real you. And I find that to be so important, is just to be the real authentic you in any situation that you're ever put in. So that is one of the scriptures this evening, and that kind of just mentions how transparent some people can be in this world, and take others for granted and take advantage of a situation. And in Ephesians 4:1-7, we're talking about the unity of the Spirit of Christ. And when you have that unity with him, so many other things happen. You know, you could be praying for someone who could be deathly ill, and you pray for them continuously, and you pray for that family, or you pray for the person who's going through a rough time. Those prayers actually get answered. Prayers, like I said in a previous episode, prayers are very powerful. Believe in the power of prayer, because it does help. So in the unity of Christ, 4:1-7, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation. And I think I'm just all over the place, but no, that's right. That is right. Wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love, and endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. We're given a gift, and we're given a purpose. And it's a beautiful purpose in this world to live like him and to be like him in any shape or form, whoever you are, man, woman, child, teenager, elders. It goes everywhere with us. But we are one with him. And I pray that you find your peace, and I pray that you find your comfort and your content, but also to go outside your comfort zone sometimes. Sometimes you find something new and exciting about yourself when you go out your comfort zone just a little bit. It's okay to go out your comfort zone. I never thought in a million years that I wanted to do this, but I'm glad I did. And it brought me to you. And it brought me to so many people out there. And I'm very grateful for that. Those are the scriptures this evening. And I hope you can walk away with tonight's episode, reading those scriptures and feeling the sense of closure in your life, or the sense of peace in your life. We all want that, and we all look for it. But when we are looking for it, we don't get it, or we don't receive it. And so I want you to think about someone who has shaped your life, who has taught you from right from wrong, who has seen you grow into the person that you've become. I want to hear from you. So if you ever get the chance this summer, throughout the next few months of the summer, if you have a question or ever want to talk to me, I'm always available, no matter what I'm doing or where I'm at. And I hope to see some of you this summer. I'm hoping to bring more of myself into churches and talk with the churches this year, and meet with people in general in daily life. So just go into the world knowing that you are a God-given purpose. We all have a purpose in this world. I am going to go over a little because I want to read a few, not a few, but a couple of poems from Life in Color, which is the second in the series, in this series, as well as a poem from The Journey Ahead, which is actually the third book in the series. So I'm going to get into reading those, and feel free to jump in if you're on YouTube and want to talk. I have the group chat up if you like to say anything. And this poem is from the Life in Color second book, and it's very fitting for tonight because it is titled The Journey. The longest road we take will sometimes break. In time, always find another way to travel on. Where there is hope in you, it's not long gone. The journey can be exciting, sometimes scary. It is taking the risks, making mistakes that can be fixed. The journey is our life story, though at times we worry. No need to. In the journey comes the glory. That, to me, is the journey for me. You are my journey. And it just makes me wonderful and makes me feel prosperous in what I do, because I am doing it for you. And if I wasn't writing, I would be working an 8 to 4 job every day. And I'm not. I'm working part-time in retail. And this, to me, is my full-time duty. And that is to bring my voice to you. The next poem is from The Journey Ahead, and that is the 3rd book in the series. And it just, again, really fits into what I discussed this evening, is to really live to tell your story, live to share it, and be an inspiration in someone else's life as well. Stand up for yourself. Be your real, authentic you. There's nothing wrong with being who you are. You might have some quirks about you or something that annoys someone else. Hey, just be you. That's all I'm asking. So this is called Stand and Inspire from The Journey Ahead. You sure do talk about changing the world. You can't do it overnight. No matter what's wrong or right, you've made a plan, ready to make a stand. You wrote it in sand to inspire, to light the fire. As it begins to dim, you start the fire all over again. You keep saying you'll change the world. Can't do it alone. Get the right people to stand by you, to move it along. Together, making it right, you'll conquer the quest. It's all up to the rest who follows you. No one changes overnight. The fire may be in them. They don't believe. It could very well be that someday they'll join to help plant the seed. To make a stand, to inspire lies within us all. When I wrote this poem, I remember someone who inspired it. And I actually want to mention him this evening because he kind of, I wouldn't say kind of, but he did make an impact in my life when I started posting material on my Google Plus page, gosh, more than a year and a half ago. And his name's Brent Peterson. And Brent Peterson, if you are out there this evening and you are going to see this video, thank you so much, my fellow Google Plus friend. And it's inspiration. You are quite an inspiring human being. And I want to thank him for that because of this poem. So many people, like I say, inspire what I write. And I wouldn't have a story if it weren't for you. So I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for always tuning into these episodes. They really give me closure, and I hope and I pray that they give you closure in your own life. I will come back next week and start something a little new, but it won't be completely new, but it ties into this series in this journey of mine and yours. And I hope that you will be here to finish out the season with me. And I'm looking forward to meeting so many people this year and getting the chance to really get out there and just get into the churches and talk to folks and be a light in someone's life and hopefully encourage someone else along the way. So y'all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all next week. God bless.